Now, something funny is going on with the voting machines in Georgia. Now, that thing is voter suppression. Now, recently, voters have alerted the NAACP of certain irregularities with voting machines across the state of Georgia. Now, in response to NAACP, Georgia State Conference President Phyllis Blake filed complaints with Georgia State Board of Elections after both early voters and eyewitnesses in these counties, Bartow, Cobb, Henry, and Dodge County, Georgia, notified the civil rights organization of defective machines. Okay. Now, what makes these defective? What did they actually see? In some cases, eyewitnesses have reported, according to the Root, that when they attempted to vote for gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, the machines switched their vote to the Republican nominee for governor, Brian Kemp. Interesting. So, look, we've seen this before. I believe there was a documentary, Hacking Democracy, that was, made back in like the early 2000s. That pointed out the same thing. I remember talking about this during the 2012 election, where you had, these machines, and when you press on Obama, it switched the votes to Romney. This is not a new problem. This is an old problem. And it's a problem that, again, crops up in Georgia. Which, by the way, since, the Title V Title V was lifted from the Voting Rights Act, voters no longer have protections against certain measures of voter suppression. But again, this was a problem that predated that, because now you have machines that aren't trustworthy, that produce no paper trail. By the way, not only that, but voters have reported incidences of machines basically taking their ballot card and then spitting it back out. Not only that, but some Georgia voters who've requested or cast absentee ballots have been unable to track them, which you're supposed to be able to do. So it's very possible that these votes are not getting counted. Now, Atlanta Magazine also noted that Georgia uses 17-year-old voting machines that run obsolete software, and is one of the 5 states whose voting machines have zero paper trail, making them the most vulnerable to hacking, according to cybersecurity experts. And yet, for some reason, they continue to use these machines. Weird. Well, look, okay, let's be fair. Maybe Georgia just can't afford to replace them, right? So, hey man, look, we'd love to replace these machines with something better, but we just don't have the time, the infrastructure, etc., and we made certain deals, so we can't do that. Okay, well, could you update them? Oh, no, I don't think we can update them either. Bullshit. Here's the thing. Now, cybersecurity experts, and this goes into why they need to update this badly. They had previously tested these machines and were able to easily hack them. They were able to change vote totals, change candidates, and yes, even erase voter databases. With these obvious flaws, you would think that anybody who actually cares about electoral integrity would be jumping up to fix or replace these obviously flawed machines, right? Nope. But, okay, going back to the question of, maybe they just couldn't afford to do it. Well, Politico actually reported that Georgia had refused security assistance from the Department of Homeland Security prior to the 2016 election. So Department of Homeland Security said, well, don't worry, we can help you, right? We'll come in and we'll help secure your elections. We'll secure your machines. We'll make it so that people can't hack in. And they decided, nope. Now, you know who made that decision? Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp, who is now running against Stacey Abrams for governor, who is also the Secretary of State who controls the voting, also made the decision to refuse election assistance, security assistance from the Department of Homeland Security. And he was the only chief election official in the entire country to refuse that assistance. Oh no, don't worry guys, we got it. Georgia, we got this shit on lockdown. Don't worry about it. our votes are going to be great. They're going to be tremendous. That's not at all what's happening. He says, we don't care. We like things the way that they are. Electoral integrity. Please. It's not an accident. This is voter suppression 101. It's a great example. Add to that the 53,000 ballots that were being held up before a federal judge decided to step in and rule that, oh, you can't actually hold these. Because look, Georgia has an exact match system, right? Which apparently you have to have your name the exact match on your birth certificate or whatever in your voter registration. If it doesn't, it gets thrown out. It gets held for review. Oh, now you can go and fix it, they say. But how do you even know you're being held up? How do you know your vote's being held up when you can't actually go and track that? So this is another way to suppress the vote, to block the vote. And guess what? This other, the other system put into place by Kemp also basically disenfranchised of those 53%, or I'm sorry, of those 53,000 ballots being held up, over 71% of them were from African Americans. We know who they're targeting. We know this is voter suppression. Look, this is the Republican plan for Georgia. If you can't beat them, cheat them. And Abrams, by the way, she's running a fantastic campaign. And so she is neck and neck with Kemp. Now, the reason that's important to point that out is that makes the likelihood of voter suppression. Just change a few votes here and there, and suddenly we've got Brian Kemp. That makes it much more likely that we're going to have voter suppression, that somebody's going to change these votes. And so, look, without the VRA, by the way, Section 5, we can't put restrictions on any, state that decides they want to do voter suppression measures, like voter ID and voter purges. That's another thing that happened in Georgia. So here we have a situation where it is very likely that Republicans will end up stealing a governorship by using voter suppression measures. It's fairly obvious, guys. If you don't see it, it's because you don't want to. We need real election reform. We need paper ballots. We need accountability. We need to get rid of these voting machines, etc. Or else we're going to continue to have a lot of doubt in our electoral system.